Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Our Town Community Show. As I had a great pleasure of introducing the show's series and all the things we've been discussing, I am really excited to have a long-term friend of mine, an amazing person in the studio. I dragged her in here, but it's Annie Laurie McCulloh, a long-term friend of mine and just a tremendous guest. Annie Laurie, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, and she was like, she's been helping me, folks, like doing all the pre-game background stuff, so she's ready to have a conversation. But one of the things Annie Laurie and I were talking about, we have a 15-minute show, and I just want to say I hold her in highest regard and her family in highest regard for walking the walk of a true leader and community person. And I said this in the inaugural show, this isn't just about, hey, let's throw out a Bible verse. This is about trying to make a difference in life. So we talked about the F words, family and friends for you, Annie Laurie. How important is that as people are watching this show? You know, what does that mean in your life?
So first off, thank you so much. And I've told you before, I'm very humbled to even be considered for this. And this is so outside of my comfort zone. But when we talk about family and friends, I think it's really everything. I'd say family, friends, faith, and health. Right. Those kind of things. Like I've seen, I think we've all seen over the past kind of 18 months, if your health fails, and you don't have faith or you don't have a strong family or friend foundation to kind of lift you up, you're sort of out there on a boat without a paddle. And so it's huge. It
is. And I, talking to our audience, been talking to you at the same time. You don't see that yourself, but I really painstakingly thought through 3 guests that I thought would embody what this show's about. So I guess as you're nailing it already, you get, I guess I get at least a B+ for thinking through that. But it has been, Annie Laurie, and I want to talk about, I'm going to brag on you a little bit. Well, I can't remember, but during the midst of the pandemic, and we had so much division in our country and people apart, one of the amazing things I saw you put together was a sign. And remind me the name of the sign. It was everywhere. I can't remember anymore. I got one, but
it's love over hate. And in the midst of that pandemic, we also had such division and controversy in our country with the Black Lives Matter movement. And for me, it was a time of introspection and also just kind of leaning in to diversity and inclusion and what that really means and how to be intentional and self-reflect on things in my life that had transpired. And I partnered with Stacey Higgins. Okay. So she and I have known each other through swimming for forever, and she's a physician at Emory. And I was leaning into her just to become better educated and said, we've got to do something. And I think awareness is huge. And then having the confidence to just kind of draw a line in the sand and put yourself out there and say, this really matters to me. And it does.
And it's love over hate. And it came at it. On a personal level, I remember writing something on Facebook saying, God, thank goodness somebody did this, because that says it all right there. If a faith-based component, which I know you and I both share, love is really the driving force.
Absolutely.
And if we put all of our differences aside as humans, I always say, and a lot of the magazine comments are right, we're not all that different.
Yeah.
And yet we get caught up in all these things where we, have these petty things we get caught up in, and I think that was a simple message, but man, was it well received.
It was mind-blowing. Initially I was like, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to order these signs, and let's find the right philanthropic organization to give the right amount of money to. And so that was research in and of itself, because you don't want any controversy around that organization.
I know.
And we found the Equal Justice Initiative, and so we're like, okay, we're all in on this. And I ordered 1 round of signs, and I think it was like 50. And we sold out so fast. And I was like, oh my gosh.
No.
So then we ordered another 80 and then another 100. And then I wanted all of Lilburn, and then it went into Decatur. I wanted the community blanketed in signs that really celebrated. Like you said, we're so more similar than we are different. but leaning into those differences also makes us just that much stronger.
Absolutely.
And so it was so cool to just drive around and see all those signs.
No, there were signs
everywhere.
There were signs everywhere, and it goes to show you, I'm saying this to our audience right now, one person or one or two people together can make a tremendous difference. It doesn't have to be some platform. This was an idea to say, what can I do? Something simple, but this simple thing became mammoth. I would see it every time I was taking a walk everywhere, and it was just great.
It was neat.
It was great. But let's talk about, the fitness, mental fitness, physical fitness, spiritual fitness. We've come out of 2 years that I know in our lifetimes we're probably never going to see again, that I'm not sure we even know the ramifications of the last 2 years. It's been so crazy. I mean, people can look at us and we're on a show, but what do you come out of this time fitness-wise, when I'm saying, working on things in any part of your life that you might share with other people in terms of, hey, this is important stuff?
Yeah. So, I travel for a living. And so sometimes it's very, very difficult to put yourself first in all of that, which sounds crazy, but it's so true. You get kind of wrapped up in kind of the hustle and the bustle. And so for me, kind of the last 2 years in doing some self-reflection, it was a time, as crazy as it sounds, the pandemic allowed us to have such core value time as a family of 4 right before Abby went off to college,
Sure.
and that was huge. But it also, it gave me the ability to really focus on me for a little bit. And so I got more into physical activity. We cooked a whole heck of a lot more because, we went out. Andrew thought the apocalypse was coming, so we had rations. So we needed to cook all of that stuff. We were eating healthier. And then I think mental and spiritual kind of focus on that. Just some time, whether you meditate or you read things. I read a lot of uplifting things. Andrew will tell you that you have to be literate to come into my house. I have signs.
Good.
Messages mean a lot to me. Songs mean a lot to me. And so taking the time to really kind of soak all that in allows me then to be able to give some of myself back.
Annie Laurie, it's so funny you say that. I was saying in the opening show we did when I was just introducing the show, the last speech I gave in Las Vegas was in February of 2020. And the speech, funny enough, was on human to human. We got to get back to more to the personal touch. And I honestly would call this possibly, if people did it right, was like the great reset of human, realizing, man, we miss people.
Oh, big time.
We miss people. We miss hugging people. We miss doing things. We miss going to concerts. We missed ball games. We missed, churches were closed down, everything.
Everything.
And so then my question to people is, hopefully they did something with that and set some goals during that time. And I'm big with you, messages and, reading and learning and sharing is what drives me. So, I guess what you're saying is you and your family use the time in the best way to grow,
yes.
which is part of life.
And even figuring out how to fellowship. I remember doing the first Easter, watching the North Point service
right.
online, and then figuring out how to have some fellowship just with our family together, which sounds so absurd.
I know.
But at the same time, it was really good for us. We had some really good conversation. Deep stuff.
Well, and you I'm bragging on it, but your daughter's one of the top swimmers around or whatever, and y'all have, just like we have with some of our kids and their things, sacrificed a lot to get them to that point. But because of that, a lot of times you're never really together. You're all
right.
running in a million directions, and like today, I've got my wife acting as producer in the studio, wearing double hats. But in all seriousness, that family time, I remember us got a dartboard and did fun things we had not done in years, and games and just stuff. But yeah, it was weird. It was surreal. And but let me ask you another thing. What about the, we talked about, you use the word, I think instead of philanthropy, like our financial resources. What do you look at in terms of things you do to try to give back? I don't care about the money part of it, time. Are there things that are passionate to you that you like to give back and see something grow? And we talked about the signs earlier, but any examples in your life?
Yeah, for us, and so I have a husband, Andrew.
Yeah, yes, Andrew, we like Andrew.
Thank you. He is the more monetary generous of the two of us in our relationship. I'm very generous with my time, with things that I think are for the greater good. But when we first got married, we were trying to figure it out. We didn't have a whole lot of money. I come from nothing. He comes from a different type of financial
Sure.
situation. So it was blending these two kind of upbringings and then figuring out, when we were successful, what would we do? And this was pre-children. And we both said, if we ever win the lottery, before we even see that hit our checkbook, half of it is going to some kind of children's charity. Oh, wow. And so anything that has to do with a child, whether it's children's cancer or children with disabilities or children that don't have food or children that don't have homes, we're all in.
You're all in on that.
And so whether that's time through organizations like Family Promise, which I know you're familiar with different churches kind of banding together to house and feed families, or whether it is, Abby's really involved with Swim Across America, so anything that has a cancer component, children are near and dear, and we think that they all should be set up to succeed.
Well, I love that. And I also love when it's our audience, you guys have been, high school sweethearts. My wife and I were college sweethearts. When you grow up together, you kind of got to meet somewhere in the middle,
a
lot. And you're like, and I both of us looked at things totally differently, but hearing that, there's things I try in everything I have in my life to like you're saying, to just shine a spotlight and help people. And I really like how you've geared in and saying, we can't be involved with every ministry. They're all great, but focus on the children part of it, because there's other people that they're doing something equally important. They're working on the homeless shelters, or they're working on, other things. But I think if people might look at what their niche and what they're feeling and what their calling is, that'd be awesome.
And again, it's not just money.
No,
because I think everybody thinks philanthropy, you need to be this hugely successful, rich person that can go all in with these generous donations. But just as many people are needed to kind of run the behind the scenes effort. And so it's time. It's whatever you can give.
I honestly think there's a lot of people out there just really want to write a check for something and not have to really be that invested. And putting in the time, that's where you really put your money where your mouth is, doing that. Well, all right, we got so much to go. All right, so let's look at, let's talk about something. Tell us something fun you enjoyed doing, you or your family, whatever. What's something fun the McCulloh family or Annie Laurie enjoys?
So we have two things. I'll give you the family thing. Anything involving water.
Water.
So we're beach people, lake people. Water is just very calming in our lives. And so we do a lot of family. Speaking of water, we do a lot of water activities together. And then Annie Laurie is a big dork when it comes to puzzles. And so I do escape rooms. I do cold cases on my own. I do things that keeps your kind of mind engaged, but also it's what I do with customers. So when I was like in sales, I would do escape rooms and look at like kind of the whole group dynamics of who leads in certain situations. It's pretty fascinating, actually.
It's very fascinating. I've spent quite a bit of my life studying that stuff. No, it is. That's great. I love it. The water, kindred spirits here. We love being by the water. And I find this fun, these puzzles and things done as well. Very important. All right. Well, we got a couple minutes left. Tell me what you're most excited about, going into 2022. Our shows will start airing 11:30 on Saturdays in 2022. But what are you most hopeful and excited about in 2022?
I think 2022 is going to be a year for all of us that kind of we reemerge as a society. I mean, travel's opening back up. Now, obviously, we've got this Omicron variant. Who knows? But I think that the world is hopefully going to lean in and do what is necessary to get us back on the up and up. And I've got a daughter in college. It's her first year. I've got a junior at home. So she's starting to tour colleges and make those decisions. And honestly, kind of every year is kind of a new chapter. And so I always have kind of a spirit of hope. Yeah. And I'm very hopeful about our future. So.
I am too. I really think the best of humanity is going to show up in 2022. And if it doesn't, we're going to put up more signs of love.
That's right. Love over hate.
Love over hate. And so, I want to invite, as we close out the show, Annie Laurie McCulloh, my friend, thank you for coming on the Our Town Community Show. It's my inaugural guest, so I really appreciate it.
We did well.
We did real well. Well, folks, all the information is at the bottom of the screen. Go to ryansauers.com. And you can visit for more information. Thanks for my guest, Annie Laurie. Remember, this is my town, your town, our town. We'll see you next time.